So time is finally here. Blizzard has finally applied all of the patch updates for the Nightmare Dungeons to be that much more viable, to be that much better, to be that much more amazing, and that being the case, we do have the chance to be doing these little things to get the more out of our time with the experience and loot and whatnot that we're going to get from the Nightmare Dungeons. Still, there are some things that you need to have in mind if you want to have a proper experience and if you want to maximize your time with this thing. So I'm going to show you just a tiny quick little bit of tips and tricks that you can do to maximize efficiency while doing these dungeons. So, first and foremost, the main thing, the level of the enemies. I know everybody has done it, I've done it, you've done it. It's very satisfying when you manage to clear enemies that are level 15, 20 levels above you. We have all done it. It's very satisfying, but that is not actually that efficient. There's a level cap on when enemies stop giving you experience, and that is going to be 3 levels above you. 3 levels above you of enemies are going to give you a bonus experience for 25%. So what you want to do in here is maximize the efficiency between kill time and the amount of experience that you are getting for that kill time. So the most common misconception, and this is something very common, is that the higher level enemies that I kill, the faster I'm going to level up. Might work for different games, but it doesn't really work in here. Enemies level 20 levels above you, higher levels above you, you are most definitely going to be able to clear them up. We can all clear them up with the amazing builds that we have come up so far. It is really not that difficult to do so, but the thing is that it's going to take you that much time than to kill enemies that are level 3 levels above you. So enemies that are level 3 levels above you, they are going to give you that bonus experience, and they are going to maximize the efficiency of the kill time between each run for dungeon that you're doing. So that being said, the faster you kill, the more experience that you are going to get, and for you to have that 25% experience, it is just going to be with enemies 3 levels above you. The only real thing that higher tier of dungeons are going to give you is the maximized leveling of your glyphs, and that is something that you should be doing as well. But while you're leveling up on the early levels, I would arguably say that it is far more important for you to level up, and the glyphs you are going to be able to get them as you do that. So that's something to have in mind. I would say that the time it should take you to clear each nightmare run would be 5 minutes to 10 minutes. 5 minutes ideal, 10 minutes okay. Any more than that, you should be just lowering up a little bit the difficulty of the enemies, because it's just not going to be as efficient as clearing dungeons in 5 to 10 minutes, which is going to yield you that much more experience. Second, the buffs and debuffs that you are going to have on your Nightmare Dungeons. They are hugely important. There are some little things that are going to make your experience that much difficult or that much easier. They do have buffs, but they also have debuffs, and I think there's a proper consensus on which debuffs you should be avoiding, and that is why you want to be using the Occultist, because that's where you're going to be recycling all of your stuff to get the things that are going to maximize the efficiency and kill time in between the dungeons. So for example, if you run up in a sacred sigil that has burn for primary resource, that is basically a no-no. That is basically a no-go, because every single build that we use in this game, it heavily relies on the usage of our primary resource for our core skills. That is our bread and butter for this game. We want to have as much primary resource as we want. So that is something that you should be avoiding. If you get any of that and it doesn't have the level that you have, you can most definitely head over to the Occultist and decide to recycle the sigils that you have. And usually, trust me, this is something that actually does happen. This guy is going to give you the best affixes that you can possibly get for each run. So the sigils that you are getting from loot in dungeon, they're usually going to have crappy stuff. So what you want to do is take those, bring them over to this guy, and just recycle them and do something better. And it's usually going to give you a whole lot of good stuff that is going to heal you, that is going to help you to kill things faster, like Fast Killer or Battle Hardened, or more damage for your primary damage, like for example Frost damage for Sorcerers. So it is something good that you should be doing with this guy as well. And talking about efficiency, especially if you're playing in a party of players, you should be as efficient as possible when doing the stuff that you are going to be doing when you go back to town. So for example, the things that we want to do when we are back in town is just salvage our stuff, sell our stuff, save the gems that we have been getting in the dungeons. But what you really want to do is just make sure that everyone has done that as fast as possible, and at the same time, because before you pop up the next dungeon, you should make sure that you are ready to head over to that dungeon. Because if you press the map button on PC or the back button on consoles, as soon as you pop up that sigil, it is going to take you immediately to that marker where the dungeon is going to be. And that is very efficient, and it's going to save you quite a lot of time, because there are many dungeons that are just beside waypoints that are hidden, and sometimes you will not, for as much as you try. This is something that has happened to me. It's difficult to find the dungeon, and that is because it's hidden. It's beside a waypoint. There's many factors that can contribute of you not finding that dungeon. So the best thing that you can do, this is just on the long term, this is going to be a lifesaver, or a time saver I should better say, on the long term, with micromanaging on your time. Because if you just decide to be efficient, salvage your stuff, sell your stuff, keep your gems where they should be, and then immediately as you pop up that sigil, it's going to take you back to that place that you need to go, making your time that much efficient and leveling up that much faster, because that's what we want to do. We want to level up faster. And finally, this is something that Blizzard said that they were going to fix, and they never did. This is not something that they said that, hey, we are going to be addressing this in the future. No, this is something that they actually did say that it was already fixed in the game. It was already fixed. And that is the backtracking on the dungeons. And it has happened to you, it has happened to me. They might have mildly fixed it to some extent, but it's still a thing. It is still something that happens. And this that I have right here is not a permanent solution, but it's just a start to fixing what Blizzard hasn't done yet. So what you have right here is the layout of most of the maps that you have for the Nightmare Dungeons. So every time that you're going to enter a Nightmare Dungeon, they are just pseudo-randomized. They are not going to be completely different altogether. These guys are going to serve as a beginning pipeline. So for example, the Serpent's Lair, which is right here. Let's imagine, for example, that we are going to be starting up right here, and we decide to go all the way up here. We didn't manage to explore this thing, and we left a thing, something right here, an enemy, a Animus Carrier, or one of those that is just lay all of the enemies, something that is just going to be here. What you want to do is just head over here, take a look at the map that you are entering at this time, and just take a look at the layout. Like I said, it's never going to be exactly the same. Some stuff actually is randomized, but this will give you a starting point for a pipeline for you not to have to backtrack that much and lose that much time while trying to look for those little enemies that you're leaving behind. This thing is going to be in the video description, so you can consult it whenever you want. And that is little quick tips that you can use, that you can do to maximize, to be more efficient on your Nightmare Dungeon farming. If you like the content, like and very super appreciated. And also today you're a gorgeous and beautiful person. You are indeed a gorgeous and beautiful person. I will see you goddamn gorgeous and beautiful people in the next one. Have a beautiful day and goodbye.